Oklahoma will now require teachers from California and New York to pass a loyalty test before they are allowed to work in public schools. It's called the America First test. It includes questions on biology and U.S. history and requires agreeing with conservative standards, including false claims that the 2020 election was stolen. State leaders say it's about protecting students from, quote, indoctrination.
Oklahoma as a state now is going to require new teachers pass an America First test to keep their license. They're going to have knowledge of the U.S. Constitution, an understanding of American exceptionalism, a grasp of fundamental biological differences between boys and girls. Perhaps for some, this sounds like common sense.
It's called science and history.
I have many teachers in the family in Oklahoma, so I'll have to get their thoughts on all of this. But I don't know. See any problems with this, Griff?
Well, no. If you're from a progressive state, you're coming from New York, you're coming from California, you're coming from Illinois, this is what you're going to have to do. In fact, the Oklahoma State school superintendent had this to say about it.
President Trump is the one fighting for fairness and keeping the rest of the country from becoming this woke dumpster fire that's in California. That's why we announced today, if you're going to come from California to Oklahoma to teach, we're going to make sure you take a test and understand basic biology before we let you in a classroom. We partnered with PragerU on this and said, hey, if you don't know the difference between a boy and a girl, you're not teaching our kids. Gavin Newsom has worked their entire school system there in California.
The Corporation for Public Broadcasting will be largely shuttered by the end of next month and gone entirely by January. At President Trump's request, Republicans in Congress canceled its federal funding last month, and that spelled the end of the organization's half a century of supporting public radio and television. Now, much has been made of the impact that these cuts are going to have on local news stations, particularly in rural areas. But the Corporation for Public Broadcasting has also played a huge role in supporting high-quality educational programming on PBS, where Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood originated. And where that legacy of iconic educational programming lives on with the Mr. Rogers spinoff, Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, and programs like Sid the Science Kid and Word Girl. Meanwhile, the White House appears to be eyeing an alternative to these kind of PBS Kids programmings that teach kids social, emotional skills, science readiness, and literacy. PragerU is an unaccredited, non-professional organization founded by conservative talk show host Dennis Prager in 2009. It specializes in creating right-leaning, short educational videos for children and adults, but don't mistake it for a university despite its name. The organization does little to hide its intent to indoctrinate children with right-wing ideology, and on the bottom of its website, you can find the following disclaimer, quote, PragerU is not an accredited university, nor do we claim to be. We don't offer degrees, but we do provide educational, entertaining, pro-American videos for every age, end quote. According to Vox, in July, the White House debuted an educational partnership with PragerU at a launch event for a new museum exhibit. Now, the thing about PBS and PBS Kids, which made parents trust their programs, is the fact that education professionals and early childhood development specialists played a vital role in producing and developing them. Sesame Street, in particular, was designed to help low-income and minority students aged 2 to 5 overcome some of the disadvantages that they traditionally had when entering school. In fact, a 2016 study found that children in households who were exposed to Sesame Street were 14% more likely to be enrolled at the correct grade level for their age at middle and high school. So to put it simply, PBS Kids is programming in the public interest. It's improving society while your kids are watching TV and you're off doing something like washing the dishes. The payoff may not be immediate, but the impact is long-lasting. PragerU's content is already being deployed in 10 states across America, including Florida, Arizona, and Louisiana. These partnerships allow PragerU's materials to be used in public school curricula while not mandating it. But one of PragerU's most loyal supporters happens to be the state currently ranked 50th in education, Oklahoma. This week, Oklahoma announced it will require teachers from New York and California to pass an America First test designed by PragerU before being hired in the state. The state's public school superintendent said the test is an effort to root out, quote, radical leftist ideology from classrooms and warned that Connecticut, Illinois, Minnesota, and others could soon join the list. So what's so concerning about PragerU funding champions PragerU finding champions in the White House and in other states? I'm going to let you be the judge.
The southern colonies were dependent on slave labor, and they wouldn't have joined a union that had banned it.
Are you okay with that?
I'm certainly not okay with slavery, but the Founding Fathers made a compromise to achieve something great: the making of the United States.
Most gender stereotypes exist because they reflect the way that men and women are naturally different.
One of the most beautiful things God has created is a woman's smile. It can fill a room with energy and joy. Just try smiling and see how it affects the people around you.
Chicago is a bustling metropolis famous for food, fun, and an iconic skyline. But beneath those tall buildings, Chicago has a dark side and a long history of crime, poverty, and low-performing schools.
Slavery is as old as time and has taken place in every corner of the world, even amongst the people I just left. Being taken as a slave is better than being killed, no? I don't see the problem.
I don't see the problem. Wow. That's what some children in America are learning.
Son of a...